The Airbus A220 family currently has two variants, but a third higher capacity variant dubbed the A220-500 in the 180-seat sector has been rumored since almost the program's inception. The idea of a larger A220 actually dates back to 2012. At the Farnborough Airshow, Bombardier discussed a 160-seat high-density version of the 300 variant with AirAsia. While the airline never ordered this aircraft, the concept showed that the C-Series platform could support more capacity. Just a few years later, Bombardier would begin studying a true stretch, but by 2015 the C-Series program had already put the company under profound financial pressures, and not one plane of either variant had been delivered to a customer. Although Bombardier never launched a larger variant, the company had already modeled a stretch variant of the aircraft using their high-performance computing systems years before Airbus ever acquired the program. Those studies have played a major role in shaping today's discussion around a potential Airbus A220-500. So before we break down why Airbus should launch the A220-500, let's take a quick look at what we know about it right now. Knowing the way Airbus would execute the stretch is perhaps the most important aspect of the potential A220-500. Internal studies going back to the original C-Series program pointed towards what engineers called a plug stretch. In practice, this means extending the airframe through the mid-fuselage section, with no additional sections being added. The center fuselage, which integrates the wing box structure, would simply be lengthened by inserting additional fuselage plugs that increase the cabin floor area while keeping the forward and aft fuselage sections unchanged. This is currently how the 300 is lengthened from the base 100. During the earlier CS500 studies conducted by Bombardier, engineers determined that it was feasible for the existing wing box structure and landing gear of the A220 family to support a 13-foot stretch. Adding 13 feet of fuselage length in the midsection will create space for about 4 to 5 additional rows of seating, pushing the total capacity to around 180 passengers in a high-density layout. Because the stretch occurs within the existing structural architecture, Airbus would be able to retain the current wing and major production tooling, which significantly simplifies manufacturing and certification while keeping development costs relatively low. This is definitely a positive, considering that the A220 program is actually losing Airbus money. We'll expand on this later in the video. The expected stats of the A220-500 are on screen now, with the A220-300s up for comparison's sake. You can see that the additional 13 feet significantly impacts performance. This is such a problem that Pratt Whitney is developing the GTF Advantage engine configuration for the PW1500 that's currently the only engine option on the A220. This new configuration is designed to deliver 4 to 8% more takeoff thrust, potentially pushing the output to 27,000 pounds with a 12-to-1 bypass ratio. Airbus is also playing its part by exploring the possibility of retwisting the carbon fiber wing, integrating redesigned winglets to maximize efficiency of the full wingspan, and figuring out a way to increase the maximum takeoff weight. Despite the upgrades, the A220-500 has significant hot weather performance concerns due to its heavier airframe and weaker thrust-to-weight ratio. High temperatures and elevation actually cut air density, which results in lower thrust and lift. This means that a fully loaded A220-500 at maximum takeoff weight could only depart from about 48% of commercial airports in typical summer conditions, rising to only 61% with the improved GTF Advantage engines. For reference, a 737 MAX 8 could depart from about 98% of the world's airports in these same conditions. Now, this is obviously a huge limitation in the A220-500. At constrained airports like New York LaGuardia, a major Delta A220 hub, a fully loaded A220-500 would face significant hot weather weight restrictions. This would force airlines to offload fuel, reducing its practical range to only about 1,200 nautical miles, and only about 1,800 nautical miles if passenger count was cut around to 150. Now that we know the A220-500 better along with all of its issues, Let's look at why Airbus should build it. As I mentioned earlier, the A220 program is actually losing Airbus money. It's a loss-leading venture. So how does spending more money on developing another variant help? To put it simply, Airbus needs to boost A220 sales, and the A220-500 is projected to be a higher margin aircraft. So Airbus views the plane as a great way to just break even with the program. The additional revenue from its higher list price grows faster than the incremental manufacturing costs required for the stretch, significantly increasing profit per unit. This is an opportunity to kill two birds with one stone. Let's start with the first part. The current target production rate for the A220 program is 14 units a month. At this rate, the entire backlog will be depleted in just under 3 years. Pushing the A220 into the 180-seat sector with the 500 enters it into a new market of airlines. If airlines commit to the A220-500 for their mid-sized jet needs, then they'd be more willing to commit to the smaller variants too for fleet commonality purposes, thus potentially scoring more orders for the 300 and the 100 on top of the 500. The second benefit to Airbus involves the A320Neo, and it's actually pretty interesting when we dive a bit deeper into it. A 180-seat A220 obviously directly competes with the A320Neo, and for airlines sending the A320 on short missions out of low elevation hubs, the A220-500 is just a flat-out better plane. It's projected to deliver the lowest operating cost per seat in the single-aisle market due to its lighter structural weight and lower fuel burn of about 5% compared to the A320neo. Taking sales away from the A320neo is actually a good thing, believe it or not, because the backlog for the A321neo, A321LR, and XLR is so massive that Airbus needs to relieve slots to meet the demand in time. So by convincing customers to switch to the A220-500 from the A320neo, these slots on the A320neo family production line can be allocated to the more advantageous A321. And the last major benefit to Airbus is that this plane can take some serious market share away from the 737 MAX 8 for the same reasons it takes customers away from the Neo, but it can put Boeing in a much tougher bind. While the 737 MAX is really powerful, it's also really heavy and built on a platform that's 60 years old, where the A220 is a clean sheet 21st century aircraft, and it's really the only clean sheet 21st century aircraft in its class. Passengers can tell this even if they don't know why. The A220 has the largest seat width in its class, the largest windows, the cabin pressurizes at 6,000 feet, which has a significant benefit on passengers' bodies, and there's many other benefits to the A220, like the 2-3 seating configuration. Before we wrap up, there's one more key point I'd like to make. The A220 could serve as Airbus's foundation for a next-generation single-aisle family. A potential A220neo would likely feature a redesigned wing and more powerful engines, and this addresses the performance limits of the A220-500. This approach gives Airbus a clear path to a clean sheet aircraft in the 2 to 300 seat segment. Specific aircraft designed for their own niches are a good thing, and frankly, I'm tired of seeing the A321 pushed down our throats as a one-size-fits-all solution. Boeing faces a much tougher choice though. They can build a plane optimized for the 150 to 180 seat market, or try and create a platform to straddle the 180 to mid-size market like they've tried to do with the MAX variants. But the resulting aircraft will no doubt end up less efficient than a purpose-built plane for either market segment.